$1.75 million. I think we're all pretty agreed, knock off the streetlight assessment, just let that go. So we're looking at knocking out about $1.5 million of income. And then there's a little bit of adjustment to some of the revenues where we've learned more things. And then you get down into the expenditures, and they're mostly small amounts, and they're spread over a whole bunch of different departments. And I think it's pretty easy to convince ourselves that, well, see, I'll bet there was some squeeze room there. I'll bet this is a fine thing that we just squeeze that and it'll be okay. My concern is as you step back and you look around the city and you start listening to the noises that we're hearing. I'm hearing the cemetery. I get emails on it pretty regularly. We're not taking care of the cemetery. I'm hearing the streets. We're not taking care of the streets. I'm hearing some other grounds things in different parts of the city. These things are not being taken care of. And my concern is that I think we're headed down a little bit of a dangerous slope, that we can convince ourselves that because all these little amounts in these different parts are fairly small, you knocked off 25,000 here and 20,000 there and 5,000 there, that it really isn't going to make any difference. Except we're hurting already without knocking out $1.5 million. And that's my concern, is that it's wonderful that we oppose the fire assessment, but I think we're kidding ourselves if we believe that we're going to get more services when we cut the budget even further. I mean, somebody's welcome to explain to me that, you know, Christopher, you just don't understand that if you spend less money, you're going to get more service. And maybe I don't understand. But my prediction is we go forward, we knock off the fire assessment. I don't know that anybody's going to notice the $60 one way or the other, but people will be happy with it in concept, except we're going to be hearing, and we're going to be hearing about more things that are not happening. And that's my concern. And how are we going to answer? What am I going to say to people when they say, hey, I got more potholes, I got more this, I'm not getting enough of this service? I'm going to say, well, we cut the budget.
There's the old saying, don't confuse efforts with results. You know, what we're going through here is a practice of, by fine-tuning this budget in regards to repealing this assessment, it puts us in a perfect position in the next budgeting period to make different types of decisions when we budget for next year. To make priorities, you know, to set a list of priorities of different things that we've heard from our citizens, from here on the dais, and from our past experiences here on the dais. You know what I mean? We have a chance to do that. Our staff is very experienced and very well trained. And I think, you know, with the different exercises that we've done to make these cuts with staff, you know, we're really taking into consideration the needs of the city in regards to, you know, some of the departments that we need to. We're not making huge sweeping cuts to services. You know, I'm an infrastructure person, Commissioner McCoy, and we have to look at how the money we have, how to better manage it, how to better supervise it, how to better go through the contracts that we have with our independent contractors that we've subbed out for contracts. We have to make sure that the job is getting done, and we can, with a new city manager and this wonderful commission here, we can make better choices based on what we've experienced. Just like when the staff comes to us and says, you know, we have better anticipated revenues. You know, on this, we didn't know this was going to happen. When you and I had a discussion a while back, I said it was a working document, you know, when we got into that discussion, in reference to it changes daily. An employee leaves, a position isn't filled, or whatever, those numbers change. But the parameters are obviously to stay in budget, and this clearly does that, while not jeopardizing pieces of, you know, departments that are going to, that need to be up to standards and increased, you know, due to changes that are going to be, that happen in any growing community. But like
so, if I might, your bottom line position, I think you're telling me, is that we can cut $1.5 million out of it and there'll be no reductions in services. And in fact, we're going to be smarter and wiser, and we're going to, in fact, do more with that. And if that's your position, I'll take that, but I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical that I think we were real tight before. I'm hearing the pushback that we're not doing enough, and so this is a further cut, and to me, it seems pretty clear that that's only going to make things worse.
I have faith in our staff. I have total faith in our staff that they can do the job needed. And I think that changes can be made in our next budget session so that we can make sure that other departments, just like Mr. Waters' department where certain things happen or whatever, and that other departments in the upcoming budget can be adapted to address the needs of a growing city.
Would you be amenable to the idea of, say, charging people $1 a month? Figuring that pretty much anybody can scrape up $1 a month. And that still, as a fire assessment, would help us out with making sure that we could pay at least some of those pensions. Could you see your way to that?
I wouldn't like to discuss that at any point at this time. I think we're discussing the repeal of this fire assessment, and for this budget year, and in my opinion, upcoming, I think that we have to do our job and budget. That's the word, budget. Put this in and budget for it without having to assess. Commissioner Amoroso?
This time around, we asked staff for their recommendations. Staff gave us the recommendations. The reason the services and the outcry are coming from the people was you outsourced and you cut so many people from their departments, they couldn't function. No one asked staff that if I cut 40 people from your department or 20 people from your department, what it would do and what it would look like. They just came and said, this is the plan, this is what we're going to do, this is why we're going to do it. So the second time around, I suggest that when we have our workshops and our vision sessions, that it's been called, that we bring in all staff and ask them what works in their department, what doesn't work. So when we're looking at bringing people back or working on a new budget, that we're working on a true budget that works with that department, and they now are hearing cries from the people. The cemetery, the downtown, they know what staff they need to make that happen, but they were never asked. It was just, they were cut off at the knees, and they're trying to struggle to fix the problem. So these recommendations that we're getting now actually came from staff. It's going to get us through this piece of the budget, and we're going to start all over, and hopefully we'll have a better outlook based on what staff needs.
But then I think what I'm hearing you saying is that you're contemplating an increase in staff to start bringing back some of the folks that we let go so that we can do a better job of the services.
If the department needs it and we can find the money, look at how much money we found just taking it back to departments. And I truly think that we found additional revenues of futures. I truly believe that, especially in code, with what Mr. William Waters has done, he's underestimated what numbers are going to come in. And I truly hope he did, because that's going to be found money that we can actually look at putting back into his department, Juan's department, with actual people on the ground that can bring back services.
I just wanted to thank the staff again. I apologize to the public for having, had to go through all this process, but we are here tonight to make a decision. Therefore, I'd like to move to approve direct the acting city manager to not implement the streetlight assessment, to repeal resolutions 42A-2011 and 42B-2011 in their entirety in order to eliminate the fire services assessment and prepare a budget ordinance to amend the FY 2011-2012 budget.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mayor, if I could step in just to clean up the motion. Staff and the city manager cannot repeal the resolutions. They would have to prepare and bring back to the commission resolutions that would repeal those previous resolutions.
All right, fix that.
Well, I'll take one more crack at this.
Thank you, Commissioner Maxwell.
I move to approve directing the acting city manager to bring back the necessary legal resolutions to not implement the streetlight assessment, to repeal resolutions 42A-2011 and 42B-2011 in their entirety, in order to eliminate the fire services assessment and prepare a budget ordinance to amend the FY 2011-2012 budget. Is that better?
Yes, thank you. Perfect.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Public comment?